Hey guys, it's Kris Jones for video 80 of Ask Me Anything. And as you guys know, I love to bring people on this particular decade episode. And I am very pleased to introduce to you Al Martino. Al is a local entrepreneur. We're going to dive into his story, peel back the onion on why he does what he does. But there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to bring Al in. Number one, like Holly in the video you guys saw just a couple of episodes ago, and Sam and others that I've interviewed in the past, when I think back to the early part of my career, when I came back to northeastern Pennsylvania after growing up here, I just refused to listen to anyone who wanted to talk about what we didn't represent. And one of the things I like about Al is that, having watched him now for several years, he's actually an example of what's possible. Not only through entrepreneurship, but by putting himself out there in the community and serving as an example for anyone, really, people younger than him, older than him, what's possible. And the other thing I like about you is that you go from idea to actualization. So welcome to my AMA.
Glad to be here.
So let's talk more about you. So we're going to get into your businesses.
Right.
And if you look at our table here, you can see we have my favorite chip, Middlesworth, Tasty Cakes. We've got Electric City Coffee. Al's got his own candy bar from Michael Moot's Candies. We got Pittston Ketchup. We've got Grandma Jones's Pepper Jam. But this is all sort of recent in the last couple of years.
Correct.
So let's go back. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about those early days of Al Martino.
I grew up in Shavertown, went to Dallas High School, grew up in the Back Mountain my whole life. Most of my family members are entrepreneurs, so I've always been around the entrepreneur mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the nerdy kid. I remember even when I was like probably 8 or 9 years old, digging through my father's trash can in his office, was looking at invoices, pretending I had like my own business going on the side here. So it kind of,
that's
like 8 to 10 years old. It was kind of like, I was a weird little kid, obviously.
Yes.
So I had, I was spending a lot of time in my dad's store, and the family's always there, so you find ways to keep yourself busy sometimes, and that was one of the ways.
Yeah.
And I always kind of thought I'd have a business, but I didn't really know what it was at that point.
Sure.
And then around, I'd say 13 or 14, I got a computer with internet. And this was probably like 96, 97, so like late 90s. So when the internet was kind of in its infancy, we had a 56K AOL dial-up connection. So just kind of always like to dabble with things. And I started off doing, I guess in a way, there used to be little programs in AOL, stuff with like HTML and kick people offline. It was like punters, kind of like a little black hat stuff. So we started programming that way and building like mass mailers.
For those that are watching, black hat refers to a technique where the way you actually understand the way things work online is to break them, manipulate them, and play with them in a way that allows you to best understand them. You also can have financial gain if you do it properly,
right?
But it's not necessarily. I actually think, like the whole like Facebook's like ethos is break things.
Exactly.
Like, so black hat's actually a good thing. So I'm hearing things like, I could hear when Al's talking about the 56K modem, and those of you that are listening could relate to that sound.
It was an era.
It's crazy.
It was a good era,
Very cool, man. Continue.
So yeah, we started with doing that, and it's kind of breaking things to fix them to get an understanding of how things work.
Yep.
And I guess, I hope I don't go in too many directions. So my family always had the businesses, so I was always the guy. Once I started doing the internet, people, every family member, hey, we need a website for our business. Can you do this? I didn't really know how to build websites, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to learn now.
Yeah.
And then just learn and do the same thing with websites. You get like I think it was like Tripod and Angel Fire and Geocities. And you get these little template websites, and you pretty much you build them and destroy them and read the source code and see, okay, well, I take this away here and add it here, remove this. What does everything all do? Sure. And then you got an understanding of how everything works that way, and that was pretty much it.
So then what? So then did you kind of like feel like you had to go away to college? You had to kind of experiment with other things, because we all know, because I already showed them some of your products, that you're an entrepreneur. But was there some fuzziness in between, or have you been?
Oh, definitely. I played in bands too, so there was a kind of once I graduated high school, I went to LCC. I guess I'm not really too proud of it. I went there for like 5 years, which is a community college. I have no degree, so it was kind of filling in what I was expecting.
Neither does Bill Gates, but other than his honorary doctorates, which I'm sure you'll probably have many.
Yeah, maybe one day. So yeah, just kind of filling a role, which obviously you told your whole life you're going to go to college, you're going to do this and that. But in the back of my mind, I've always seen entrepreneurs who, yeah, they have degrees, but they're not using them, and they'll tell you firsthand.
Listen, I'm an example. I mean, I definitely I have a lot of degrees.
Right, yeah.
Do I use them? I'm not sure. But I should have said education or day jobs, because I think sometimes entrepreneurs will go out into the workforce only to realize that they're not good at working for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, I could self-admit that I am a much better entrepreneur than I am an employee.
Right.
But did you ever have any day jobs, or have you been basically making money on your own?
I worked at Gallery of Sound. I was a manager. I started off with whatever, it was like a key holder manager, whatever the definition is there. That was pretty much it. And that's what as I was going through college, and then while I was working there, I kind of started reading Warrior Forum. I don't know if you ever around that. It was kind of like I don't know what it is now. It was a big asset or knowledge base for SEO, pay-per-click, and that's when I started realizing, well, I could build all these websites, but how do I get people there? So I would say it's equivalent. You could have a storefront, big fancy storefront, but if you're not getting people there, you're dead in the water. So at that point, it was, well, how do I start getting people to these sites and then generating revenue? And I started with affiliate marketing and drop shipping and eBay and all this stuff. And
that's awesome. I mean, certainly our stories parallel in some respects, because that's how I got my start.
In a way, I kind of watched you sometimes, and also that was a big inspiration too. Was when I was, I guess, at the formal age of like 18, 19, figuring out, okay, what am I going to do? College maybe not really be it. What could I possibly do? And I did. I moved to Phoenix for a while, thinking that there's nothing northeast or PA. So then I was seeing, I had some friends that worked at Pepper Jam. So I saw the company growing, and that's what made me realize, well, here's a guy from this area who kind of stayed here. Just put your head down, nose to the ground, and just work a little bit, and you get it done. And that's kind of what we did, and it grew. I think that there's a natural force. If you give things attention and nurture them, they'll grow and prosper.
And the other thing is that you've got to be committed for the long run. So
definitely,
becoming successful is an iterative process, and it's not something that happens overnight. You've got to be committed to it from the start, and there's ups and downs. But so you mentioned music earlier. You played in some local bands. Like, what did you play? What kind of music?
I played drums. We were mainly indie rock bands. We traveled. Some did tours up and down the East Coast. Nothing really big. But we put out records and made videos. And
what was the name of the band?
One was XOXOX, and the other one was Astoria Stigmata. That was the most recent one. And I kind of, not that I got old and realized, well, I'm trying to do too many things. You can't play in a band and practice 3 times a week. And then there was a time where it'd be starting work at 9 o'clock at night and practicing until 10:30, and watch and repeat the next day. And when you need your mind to be sharp for creatively to play the drums, and as an entrepreneur in the morning, it just became tiring. So I decided to put all my eggs in the entrepreneur basket and rode it hard.
Cool. So what, aside from music, what are some of your other hobbies and some of your likes?
I am very active in cycling and running. I need to keep moving. I guess it all comes down to the need for for moving. I have a dog, a chocolate lab. He's one of my favorite things in the world. My girlfriend, Dawn, we just kind of hang out, go for a walk. We live right by French Slope, right outside State Park, so we spend a lot of time in the woods, away from computers. After I'm in the computers 8, 9, 10 hours a day, it's just kind of like, well, I'm going to take my dog for an hour or two, we're going to hang out in the woods. And that's when I ride my bike too. There's a lot of time for reflection. And I feel like while I'm moving, your blood's flowing, and that's when my brain is at the best. And a lot of the idea for Northeast Snacks came on my bike. And I was, well, what could I do?
Let's dive into that. So this idea, let me interpret being in e-commerce for 20 years, my brother Rick and I, we took my grandmother's gourmet food product, Grandma Jones's Pepper Jam, and put it in a jar. And I remember in the early days, like 1999, 2000, talking to my brother about this idea that there's nobody really that has built a website that plays into that local product thing. Like, if you end up trying Middlesworth chips, and by the way, I've had friends of mine from outside of the area, outside of the country, try these things. They're like, where do I get them, right? So you have that, but people move away for a lot of reasons. People go away to college. People just relocate for business reasons or whatever. And products like Middlesworth chips and Tasty Cake and some of these others. This one, when you showed me this earlier, Pittston Ketchup. Pittston, which is a local town here in northeastern Pennsylvania, has this annual tomato festival. I mean, it's hard not to think of Pittston without thinking of tomatoes.
Yep.
How brilliant local entrepreneurs create this. So again, my interpretation was, what a brilliant idea. I remember talking to my brother about this need way back in the day when we were selling our own product. So tell us more about, you had mentioned you were on a bike, but what was the epiphany for creating this company?
Well, I kind of touched earlier, we moved to Phoenix, and I guess part of the typical NEP, the grass is always greener someplace, it's warm there, it's awesome, and as an athlete, I was like, well, that's perfect, I could train all year round, I could race all year round, this is great. But once I moved out there, I'm somewhat, I guess, a creature of comfort. So once you move out there, first of all, everything's different. After growing up in Dallas, Pennsylvania, in the middle of the mountains, moving to Phoenix in the middle of a desert, it was just dry and flat. And as I looked around and everything, I was just starting to think, well, I'm not really digging it as much. And then once you don't have your comfort foods in a way, it was kind of just one more ache to get home, especially the pizza too.
Yeah.
So I always was asking family members, send me Middlesworth, and there was some sites you could order online, like eBay and Amazon. Everything seemed really shady and really expensive. So the whole time in Phoenix, I was like, well, I would love to do this and build something out here. Then as it worked out, we came back here, and then kind of on the ride, I was just like, well, here's what we could. I'll contact Middlesworth today. I'm going to sell Tasty Cakes too. I'm going to build a site. We're just going to build it on WordPress, WooCommerce, kind of thought about the technical things. PayPal's going to do the payment, and then just went home and I built it that night. I built it overnight. It took me like 12 hours to do, and just did it.
Real quick, one of the amazing things about Al's story is that if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you need to learn as much as possible about every aspect of creating a business, particularly an e-commerce business or a tech business. Think about how much more likely it would have been that he never would have taken those first steps if he didn't have those technical chops that he had built up back in the late 90s and stuff, for building websites and whatnot, and the internet marketing. You don't have to be an expert right out of the gate. You just have to know enough to take the first steps to be, to create a successful business. So, so the genesis here is you were in Arizona, you came back, comfort foods. You're a Middlesworth fan like I am. My kids are. My brother Rick, we bought a lake house 2 doors down from him at Penn Lake in Whitehaven, the Poconos, and what he does on the weekends, coincidentally, this particular bag is called the Weekender. He and his wife Melanie come over because my 3 kids love Middlesworth. So he literally every weekend, I mean, this is, I don't know, we'll talk about the dietary thing. He brings it over every weekend. So it's a big part of our family, but so comfort food, totally.
This bag, to me, that bag had a lot of nostalgia. Whether going down to the local deli when I was a kid and just grabbing this bag and then coming back in the warm summer months with a Italian hoagie and a bag of Middlesworth, riding your bike back, that was it.
No, I'm there with you. By the way, I missed the Beekeeper's Daughter. I mentioned Electric City, and I mentioned a candy bar earlier from Michael Moots Candies, which is a locally owned candy company. Where can people buy these products from you?
You can buy everything on northeastsnacks.com, and then we also opened up a retail shop for the holiday. We'll tentatively be open until probably January 1st, middle of January.
Like a pop shop concept?
Yep, on 318 Wyoming Avenue in Wyoming, Pennsylvania. We'll have some different products there we don't even have on the site, which you can't buy in stores. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully we'll start branching out. We also just launched Philadelphia Snacks too, which kind of has some of these products, but Tasty Cakes from Philadelphia, and Middlesworth are also there, but our big chips there are hers and Hutch chips. So
very cool. What else would you like to share with my viewers? Anything else about yourself? Any other business activities you have going on? Congrats on the pop shop. That's exciting.
Thank you. I would say just for whatever reason, just keep moving forward. It's easy, I think, especially in an area like in ours, where it could be older or whatever, to just get so down on yourself and think there's nothing here for me. And just wait for someone to bring you opportunity. But if you just keep doing it and go ahead, we were normally. I first talked to Middlesworth, and I remember that day I called them. The manager of the warehouse said, we done this with other people before. We don't really like doing it. These people, they sit in the ships for a while, and he's like, we don't want to do it. He's like, I'll be lucky if I see you in 6 months. And they're very nice people, but it's very kind of dry older people, and they tell it like it is.
Yeah.
So I said, no, trust me, I have a plan. We're going to do this right. It's going to be right. And then here we are 3 years later, and they tell me I'm one of their biggest accounts. So it's just neat to see that, and just never let, not that it's fun to prove people wrong, but in a way that was kind of ammo. With him saying, you know, we'll be lucky to see you in 6 months, to me that was like, well, now if I fail, I proved him right. So
that's awesome. I think you guys had a great opportunity here to get to know more about Al. You know, entrepreneurship in Northeastern Pennsylvania is alive and well.
Definitely.
My colleagues, I consider you a colleague as a fellow entrepreneur. We're competing at the national and global level. I think we're just getting started, and I think Al's a great example. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Peace.